his grandfather started the company. So he's third generation.
So I got here through nepotism. It's my full story.
Outstanding.
Yeah. So I graduated from LSU every summer and every weekend, every school break, I was doing some sort of construction. Anything that I could get somebody to hire me to do. And so that led me into my last semester. I only had two classes. I had a full-time internship, paid internship at an industrial contractor in town. Um, when I graduated, they offered me a job. I was supposed to work right here in their office in Baton Rouge. And my first week there, I was there about 3 days, and they came to me and said, "We need you to go to Arkansas for a year." So I moved to Arkansas, worked there for a year, came back, worked for them here local at a actually a refinery um, for about 8 months, and Hurricane Katrina hit. And then I went and worked for another company um, and was doing all the cleanup from Hurricane Katrina. We were in charge of moving people in the FEMA trailers, giving them places to live, building the parks that they lived and stuff. So that was really good. It gave me a lot of experience because there was a lot of it was 24/7, right? Like high pace, high stakes, a lot of moving stuff. So that was really a valuable experience, that it was hard to duplicate nowadays. Then when that died down about a year and a half later, um, I did commercial construction, and I was there about 6, 8 months. And RJ Daigle was doing the parking lot on one of my jobs, and I met the Colin's dad and his uncle, and they offered me a job, and I didn't know anything about asphalt, and they barely taught us anything about asphalt in college. I knew it was black and hot. That was about my extent of the knowledge of it. And they said, we'll teach you. Um, and that was it. 18 years later, here I am, and I worked my way up from a project engineer to the VP of construction. And when I started 18 years ago, we had like 30 employees, and now we have 200 between two companies. So
that's some solid growth. Outside of nepotism, Colin, how'd you find your path into where you're sitting today?
Fairly similar, except you just start working a lot younger when it's your parents' company. So sometime in high school, they started. My family very strictly believes in there's three of us Daigles now running the company, but they very strongly believed in making sure that we did everything that we would ask our employees to do. So ever since I was 14 or 15, we're out on the asphalt crew, shoveling asphalt. We ran our asphalt plants. We operated equipment. We did all that stuff. After that, graduated high school, went to college at LSU, and then I ended up going to law school at LSU too, to further train myself for this position that I'm in now. But yeah, I'm biased because, for obvious reasons, but I think it's a great place to work. We are obviously family oriented. We keep a lot of people a really long time when they come to work here. We're very fortunate that we're small enough to where everybody really has an impact. Their voices are heard, their opinions are heard. But we're big enough now to really take care of our employees quite well too. So we're pretty fortunate where we are.
Yeah. So how'd you find yourself going towards the construction industry? What was the attraction there for you, Tate?
I kind of knew that was what I wanted to do. I grew up on a farm, and one of my uncles had a small construction company. It was, a little dump truck pulling a little dozer and a rubber tire backhoe. So I had some experience with that. I learned to operate equipment when I was a kid. So I liked farming, I liked construction, I liked equipment, and I liked hunting and fishing. So the first day I went to LSU, I wanted to be a game warden, and I gave that up on like the second day. Um, and then kind of, talking to the counselor and some friends and stuff, I decided to go the construction route. So, but it was the same with Colin that, growing up, doing what I was and everything I can operate, most equipment. Even when I came to work here, the guys in the field taught me how to operate a lot of stuff. So, that's another thing is a lot of our competition. Um, you can't find anybody who's the president, vice president, CEO of any of our competition that could probably even turn on an asphalt paver. And all of us can get out there and we can run it. Now, are we gonna do it as good as the guys who work with us that do it every day? No, but we can do it, uh, I was just 8 months ago, we had a project where, um, we were trying to train people. It was a really specific project, and running motor graders and dozers, doing road work. And myself and Colin's cousin Nick, who's our president, were both on. I was on a motor grader and he was on a dozer, teaching those guys, showing them what we wanted done, and showing them that it could be done because we had done it before.
I mean, that to me, that sounds a lot like my military experience where like, hey, you're going to do it first before you ever tell the next guy to do it and then train him up and then keep moving from there. That structure, is that a similar structure in your experience?
Yes, sir. Yes, that's how it goes here. Like Colin said, when I came here 18 years ago, his dad and uncle had only literally gotten off from actually running the paver like about a year and a half before I got here. Um, and so they did everything. Everybody here that is in any executive position has worked their way up either through this company or another company somewhere, and they know how to do stuff. Our project managers here, one of them was in our survey department. All right, worked his way up through the survey, became survey manager. Now he's not a project engineer, then a project manager. One of them was in our QC department. Worked his way up to a project manager. So, we have that all over the company that people have started themselves out in the field. We have, one of all, we have such good stories about that. But for one, and for me, is one of the best ones was a guy who literally came here as a flagger, and he was what they call like here like a last chance house, right? He had an addiction problem, and it was his last chance. And he came here as a flagger, and but we believed in him, and he believed in himself. He turned his life around, and a couple of years ago, he became the top foreman in this company.
No shit. That is,
So,
I
yeah.
mean, that's something that I loved about recruiting on the military side. I had similar experiences. Guys are sleeping in their cars, sleeping on couches and stuff. They're, at the end of their wits, they have everything but a criminal record going against them. And then, to see them, years later getting to the top of the ladder. I mean, that's awesome to be in a position to do that. I mean, you were talking about somebody you pulled from the Army not too long ago. Can you tell me his story?
Yeah, so we have a few people. One of the best story is our QC manager. So he was in the Army National Guard, which is local here in Gonzales, and we got his name through, I guess was his sergeant at the time, and he didn't know anything about anything that we did. Um, so we were able to get him on board, and he's basically self-taught. Uh, we taught him a little bit. We could teach him. He's way more knowledgeable about asphalt and concrete than any of us here. In fact, he would tell, there was people out there that would tell you he's in the top 5 in the state of Louisiana in terms of his knowledge and of what he knows about concrete and asphalt, and creates all of his own mix designs. Um, and he was still in the guard when he worked here. We had to leave to go to Kuwait for a year, right? Held his position, came back, stepped right back in like he never left. Um, and he's highly respected in his position and what he does. And we have actively sought out those positions for people. We have a lot of ex-military that, were either already retired when we, from the military when we hired them, or people who were still in a reserve position or a National Guard position when we hired them. And we look for those things. We go to all of those, outposts here. We have them in little towns around here, and we actively seek. We actually have two, what they call engineering divisions here, where we can get some people that have experience in civil work like we do.
I think one of the reasons uh, that specifically military people succeed so well in our organization is we really only care about how much someone cares and how much they're willing to dedicate themselves. And what we find is and we love that we're able to cultivate this environment here. And I think it's one of the best things about working here. You're only limited by your personal skill, whatever you want to call it, and your care. If I don't really, it doesn't matter to me all the degrees you have. I'm really the only person here that has probably a graduate degree at all. Uh, if you care, if you care and you're willing to learn, we'll teach you as much as you can possibly learn. And the only thing that's going to stop you is how much you're willing to learn. And your rise in this organization will mirror that ability.
Yeah, talking about that soldier, you said he did a lot of that in a pretty short period. He came up real quick, right?
Yes, yes. He, like I said, all within about 5 years. So from start to finish, from knowing nothing about anything to being the top of his, his class in the state, basically in 5 years. Just basically, to self initiative. He went out and said, "Hey, this is what I need to learn. These are the places where I need to go to learn this information. Here's what it costs." We said, "Okay, here's the check. Go do it." And then he would come back and we did not have a QC department before we hired him. And what we have now is now nationally accredited. Um, and it's all because of him and his desire to do that. And that has gone from one person to he has a 15-person team now. And we are at a higher pace than any of the third party inspection services anywhere in the Baton Rouge area. Like time and time again, people call us and ask us for guidance for something. And this is just a small portion of what we do, right? This is just a support division of our construction division, right? To make sure the product we're turning out is quality. The people who do this, who get hired, as a third party by an owner to make sure that we are building a quality product, they ask my guys if they're doing it correctly. And that's all because of Danny and what he has put into that division and what he's created.
Dude, I'm just curious. Do you know what Danny did in the Guard for work?
He was an equipment operator. He worked in the engineering battalion out of Gonzales, and he ran. He did some survey, and he also ran like a dozer and skid steer, just heavy to medium duty equipment operator.
Yeah, I know exactly what he's doing. So to me, it strikes me as something like, for veterans with experience in logistics and ops, I mean, how might those skills translate to managing construction projects, for like asphalt drainage, concrete?
Yeah, so we also have a logistics department. So we run a lot of our own trucks, tri-axle trucks, quad axle trucks that we haul a lot of our material. We also run up low boys that move all of our equipment. We have trailer trucks, and we also from day to day we'll run upwards of 60 third party hired dump trucks, hauling material to all of our crews. So we have a logistics department that schedules and coordinates all of the trucks. So if you have experience in logistics and whatnot, all of that stuff, goes well in what we do. You could, we have like I said, a logistics department. We have a survey department if you have survey knowledge and experience. We have safety department that does all of our health, safety, and environmental. We have an asset management department. So Obviously that's everything from maintaining all of our equipment to knowing where it's all at, right? Running cost analysis of where, what everything is, keeping track of everything. We have traffic control. We just hired a gentleman who was in the Army in Italy for 15 years. He just moved back about a year ago, and he's now a traffic control foreman for us. And he won't be in that position long. He is so great at it. Within 2 weeks, I knew right then that he will just roll on out of that, right? But you could just tell that, he's so good, right? Like he got in there. He's a problem solver. He fixed all of his problems, all the problems he had. He came up with solutions, and he's leaving it better than he found it. So we have, the quality control, like I talked about with Danny runs. We do all of our own roadway techs. We have lab techs that, so we have a lab at each asphalt plant. So those guys do all of our lab analysis each day. And then the roadway guys do all the roadway stuff. And then they report that back at the end of each day. Any other departments I'm missing?
No, but we also have a mobile lab. We retrofitted into a C-hand into a mobile lab, and sort of illustrating Tate's point on like people looking to us when they really shouldn't for how good our quality control department is. We recently did a project, I-10 and I-12, two interstates intersect in Baton Rouge. It's a major interchange, and we were a subcontractor on the project. We only had a small portion. The general contractor was Bow Brothers, which is a massive company. It had federal money, state money. At one point, there were 5 different testing labs on this project, and all 5 of them used our mobile lab that we put there for a month while we did our work, because we were the only ones that could do it. Our departments, I mean, there's so many things, and there's things that we haven't even figured out that we need to do yet that we know we're going to need to do. So like departments that'll come in the future, for instance. For example, we are actively looking at how we can better train our workers. We've always wanted to, come here with the care and the attitude, and we'll teach you. And as we get bigger, it's becoming more and more difficult, because obviously, I'm not the person out there every day, and Tate's not the person to train. So as we're getting bigger, now all of a sudden we're talking about a training department. Who do we get that can run a department like that and implement a training program, teach across all of our disciplines? He or she might not need to know how to run an asphalt paver. He or she needs to know how to train adults. What's the adult learning model? How to teach them, let me have someone show you how to do something. Let me have you do that thing with me, and then let me do it on your own. And we're going to give you 6 months. We're going to check back in with you periodically, and you're going to master this thing. And if you show you're proficient in that, you're going to have a great spot here. And if you show you're proficient in more, we're going to keep moving you up. And, we're constantly in search of talent. And then also, these departments kind of keep popping up out of nowhere. Our business model is we try to do everything highway construction short of bridges. So with that, originally it was just my father on an asphalt paver, and it grew, and all of a sudden we started doing drainage, we started doing concrete, we started doing soil stabilization. Those are the construction service, like the actual performance of construction. But then, as Tate was mentioning, all of the support services around it pop up. Well, if you're really going to do everything short of bridges, you have to have traffic control on the road. So now we're doing traffic control. Then you have to have quality control. And yes, Chris, you can just hold the stop sign and hold up traffic. It's funny you say that. That is my least favorite job that I ever did in this company. I think it states too. It is very difficult to stand in a single location for
10 hours.
10, 12 hours.
Yeah.
and hold a sign.
And listen to people pass by you and berate you all day.
Oh, I can't imagine.
No
You gotta-
traffic.
You gotta have
even-
some thick skin.
Well, with holding the sign, you know, he was just talking about Chris Peak, the other guy we hired from Italy, that used to be in the army, and that simple thing. There's always so much more up here behind it. Like, you know, how far is your spacing on a cone taper when you're closing a lane? All of that stuff is standardized, and you don't have to know it before you come here. But if you do come here and that's what you want to do, we're going to demand that you learn it, and then you're going to implement it, and you're going to do it.
Yeah, it's not just, a lot of people think, right? It's when you drive up and you see that, oh, look, that person's holding the sign, right? And that's what we thought for a while, right? Oh, well, yeah, we're gonna hire that person. That's $12 an hour. Well, that's not, now we like, well, we got to find a good person who's knowledgeable, because now that person has to understand, one, they have to go get a certified flagger training. So they have to have a card that says they're a certified flagger. That's what Louisiana DOTD says is required. Then they have to understand that to have a flagger, you have to have a 6-cone taper. That 6-cone taper has to be spread out over 100 feet. 500 feet before you get to the beginning of the taper, you have to have a flagger ahead sign. 500 feet before you get to that sign, you have to have a 1-lane road ahead sign. When you're standing in the location of the where the flagger stands at the end of the 6-cone taper, you have to have a stop slow paddle. You're not allowed to use flags anymore. It has to be on a 6-foot tall PVC pole. It has to be in your hand closest to the open lane of traffic. There's a lot of specifics that go with it. Any one of those things that are wrong could be written up as a $10,000 fine by OSHA or the Department of Transportation. So it's something as simple as the flagger. It has now become a major critical component of what we do every day.
I can see why you guys are looking to build a learning and development department then, because I mean, I never thought about how complicated that could become. Thank you, government, for adding more steps, but it keeps stuff moving and keeps people from getting killed. So I can kind of see the importance. So yeah, learning and development department makes a lot of sense to you guys.
Yeah. So, and just to give, I don't know where everybody is at that's listening in, but, so we're in Baton Rouge, Louisiana, and from starting active right now, and will be completed. So not starting 10 years. This amount of work will be completed within the next 10 years. Within 1 hour of here, $30 billion worth of work will be built. Within 2 hours, that number goes to about 40 billion. Within 3 hours, about 60 billion. Within 4 hours, 100 billion. So that's how much work is already on the books here. We have, a Hyundai steel plant that's, $15 billion, right? That's 20 minutes from us. The farthest thing from us is about 4 hours, and that's the Meta Facebook AI facility, which is like, I think $45 billion. They have so many. This thing's built out in the middle of nowhere. They're looking for so many people. They can't even house the people that they're looking for. So just to tell you, where we are. So obviously, it's a blessing and a curse, right? It's a blessing that we have all this work. Not only does these jobs come with do these particular projects, right, come with infrastructure to build them, which is what we do, but also they're going to come with infrastructure to gain access to these projects. So the local governments, the state government, including the private, are all going to invest money in the road infrastructure, which is what we do every day. So of those people getting the stuff, our industry is getting the most of it. So it's a lot of what we do, right? It's going to be so much so that the companies that we have here are not even going to be able to do it all. If we don't continue to grow and continue to staff and continue to scale progressively, we will not be able to build the work in a timely fashion without having companies come from outside Louisiana to pick up the slack. We don't typically see enough tax dollars spent by the state of Louisiana like they do in Texas, right? We don't have that much money. So we don't have the giant construction companies, highway civil construction companies that might have 15,000 employees. Those companies don't exist in Louisiana. The largest company here probably only has about 600 employees. I just told you we have 200. So
To me, that just screams job security down the line. Because
absolutely. I've been here, if I told you, for 18 years, we've never laid somebody off due to a lack of work in 18 years. In that same time frame, we've given a cost of living raise every single year. If you earn a merit raise, which we do, annual observations or evaluations, sorry, you get that as well. And we've given a bonus the last like 14 years. And so it's been nothing but growth for us. And basically, if you don't have a job around here, it's probably because you just don't want to put in the effort to work.
that's saying something. I mean, the other thing too is like, what's the cost of living like there compared to a lot of places in the country? I gotta imagine it's a little bit lower than a lot of other places. What's your experience with that?
Yeah, I mean, I'm sure in the larger cities it's much bigger. I don't know exactly, in relation to what it is, but from what, like, we just hired a couple guys that were from like north of Houston, and they said, it's about 50% less, rent they're paying here than they were paying in Houston. So that gives you an idea. I think they were paying around 2,000 a month, for like a 2-bedroom apartment. And now it's about $1,000 a month for a 2-bedroom apartment.
$1,000 a month for a 2-bedroom apartment, like where I live, that gets you a refrigerator box in somebody's backyard.
Well, that gets you an apartment with probably all utilities paid except for like that'll usually include like your water, sewer, garbage, all that stuff, whatever. Probably not your electrical and not your internet, but everything else.
That's man, that's like a dream to me. So on the safety side too, like how do you guys prioritize safety on job sites, and what parallels do you see with the military protocols? Because I imagine there are a lot of them are enmeshed.
So we've implemented a lot of structure. So we use a system called HCSS. And everything starts like how we bid the job. We use that software. And then we use heavy job when we build the work. And so all of our guys in the field, all of our foremen, they all have an iPad, right? And so every morning they go out on the job site. The crew has a meeting in the morning. Our safety department preloads all of their safety talks. It's a video. You select the video. Everybody watches the video. You document. You have your discussion. You sign your name on there. So everything we do no paperwork. Everything's electronic. All of our clock in is done on the iPad. Takes a picture of you, documents your GPS location when you clock in, when you clock out. That's how all your time gets coded, your equipment gets coded. Foremen are required to do safety audits each day. So they're required to do a safety observation each day and a traffic observation each day, as well as my safety technicians in the field and my traffic technicians in the field. They will also do safety observations and traffic observations as well, including any project managers, myself, Colin, anybody else throughout the company that goes out in the field at any point can do surprise observations at any point in time, document everything. So we have minimum requirements, and then you can go up from there. Everything has a point system counted to it. Those points are calculated per person, and that is how we calculate at the end of the year. So tomorrow we have our annual safety banquet, and we award our safest foreman, and we award our safest employees in order of the safest to least safest. And we give them their score, and we tell them what the max score was capable of. and then, what they were, and then, we have this, we give dinner to everybody, and, like tomorrow, the top 55 safest guys are going to get brand new, Red Wing boots. They're also going to get a selection between $15,000 worth of prizes from, 70-inch flat screen TVs to basketball goals, ping pong tables, you know, crawfish boiling pots, fish fries, ice chests, barbecue pits. We just give out, all that stuff, whatever. So we reward everybody for that stuff. We also give out every day that you come to work and you show up on time, you clock in on time, and you stay a full day, you earn $5. That $5 is paid out 2 weeks before Christmas. And if you come to work every day that we typically work, you can earn $1,200. Is basically is around what it usually falls out to be. So you get an extra check of $1,200 just because you come to work every day on time.
Pay you twice for showing up.
That's right. So it doesn't sound like a lot when it's up $5, but when you add it up every the 260 days that we might work a year, it adds up. And so it's little things like that we try to incentivize. A lot of places don't give hourly employees paid holidays. We every year that you work here as an hourly employee, we give you a paid holiday until you earn all of them that all the salary employees have. We also, as in the safety program, you can also, like our top employees, can opt for paid vacation, which typically hourly employees don't get, and only your salary employees get. So we try to incentivize everybody to, to do the things that, yes, it's part of your regular job, but we want to incentivize people to do it. We want to incentivize you to come to work every day. How critical it is to come to work every day, show up on time. We want you to stay here. We want you to feel like family. We do monthly, lunches, whatever's the safest crew that month. The safety man's gonna come by and buy the whole crew lunch. If you do really well, if your crew does really well on a job, the project manager's probably gonna come by, the next week and buy your crew lunch. If you do safety, you catch safeties, you find something, say, hey, that's bad, somebody's gonna get hurt. The safety guy's gonna come by and give you a hat or a shirt or something and saying great safety catch. They're gonna acknowledge you. We give out years of service stickers for every 5 years you're here to put on your hard hat. That also comes with a gift. Obviously, that gift gets higher the more you're here. The owners are very, very generous, and we try to give back as much as possible. I tell people, it's kind of a joke, right? I said, my last name's not Daigle. So my goal is to take as much money from them as I possibly can and give it back to all of y'all. And that's what I strive for every day until they tell me no. And they've never told me no yet.
I like it. I like that. I'm watching Colin's response too. He's like, yeah, he said that.
The tomorrow we're actually announcing, so don't spoil it if any of y'all could figure out how. We're doing completely free for all of our employees, short and long-term disability. So we just wrote one big check and everybody will get it for free.
That is huge. I mean, that's a big deal, especially, some of the work that you guys are doing, guys are going to get beat up here and there over time, so that's good on you, man. So I can't say anything bad about
a lot of that stuff that I told y'all, what Colin's telling y'all, it's just not offered in our industry here,
No.
They just don't give any of the hourly employees anything. We offer, health, dental, vision. Now we're going to be able to offer long-term and short-term disability. We have 401k retirement plan, and we're just continuing as we grow to try to offer more and more and more, they just don't do that around here. It's just, it may be common where you are, but it's not common here. And, our goal was to try to help people plan for the future. Right. And so we really incentivized and kind of, I don't want to say forced, but really coerced people to join the 401k, right? Like, and understand a lot of people's mindset was they're just going to work for the rest of their life till they die, right? And we were like, just, we don't want to do that. Let us help you. Let us show you, how we can help, invest the money, how we can do this. It's just a little out of your check, whatever you can afford, right? Do that kind of stuff. And so, we've got a lot of people that's been growing and growing and growing and growing as people buy into it. And then the word starts to spread. And, while they may not listen to me, they might listen to, John on their crew who joined it one year and then says, man, in 1 year, wow, I earned this much free money because they matched me dollar for dollar up to this amount, So, that was, it's really starting to spread. And we just had our, open enrollment for healthcare is happening now. And out of I think 150 people who we sent the paperwork out to, we had the most ever. I think right now we have like 100. So we're up like 30 people from last year that have joined. So more and more and more people are taking advantage of what we're offering.
I don't want to make it sound too rosy. We are, I tend to think we are pretty good. However, we are really big on quality of life here. And we're also really big on when you're here, we're high intensity. We do, for the most part, we don't work people weekends. We almost never work people Sundays, and we almost never work nights. But for that little bit of time that we get you, we are a very demanding, high performance work environment. And the reward for that is we give you your time off and we compensate you really well and we take care of you. And we give you a job that provides fulfillment, if that's what you want.
Yeah, and I bet you, when somebody needs to pave their driveway, it's not too hard to get that done.
We live by, we are the only highway contractor in the state of Louisiana that does not work nights. Now we had our first night job, and all we did was supply the concrete. We did not perform any of the work, and we asked our guys, hey, we have opportunity. This contractor would like us to supply concrete. Here's what we'll pay you. It's going to be extra. We're going to pay you extra money. Do you want to do it? And they all said, yes, we'd love to. Okay, great. If they would have said no, we wouldn't have done it. So we asked first. They were happy to do it. They wanted the extra money. But other than that, we don't work any nights. And but like Colin said, we think that if you plan accordingly, and that goes from top to bottom, from the president to the flagger, if you plan accordingly and you put a good plan together, and we work efficiently, if we work 5-10, so 50 hours a week, we can accomplish everything that we need to accomplish in that time frame. And you can have off on Saturday and Sunday and enjoy to spend time with your family. And we'll come back next week and we'll do it again. And that is what we strive for. We don't want to run people into the ground. We all have a life, and we want to be off. And if I'm not going to go off and do something on the weekend, if everybody in the field is working. And so that's not what I believe in. So if they're working, I'm out there too. And so that's what we strive for. And so yes, we work hard. We do from those 5-10s, we work very hard. It's sort of orchestrated chaos is a good way to put it. So
that's our experience.
Yeah. So we can do it. It is possible. We've proven it over and over again. And we'd love to have y'all come join us if you're interested. I'd like to show the share, if Colin can share the screen. I'd like to show y'all just our websites briefly.
Sure.
And y'all can check them out, later, but just kind of show you what we have. We have two companies, RJ Daigle and Sons. And this thing, you can go on here, it'll tell you all about what we do, all of our kind of different divisions and services we offer. We've got featured projects and stuff. And, um, you can just see a little bit of history of stuff about what we've done. And we have Facebook and Instagram, and it'll lead you to all that good stuff. You can, like I said, you can check out each individual section and stuff. So, the other company we have is Daigle Industries. So this is our specialty concrete and trucking. So we have volumetric mobile mixers, which y'all are probably familiar with. It's not common in South Louisiana. We're probably only one of two people that do that. And everybody else uses central mix plants with barrel trucks, which is what you see in the center picture. So we are kind of a glutton for punishment. We like to do stuff that people tell us is impossible, and that's what we keep doing. We the first person to kind of run through that brick wall. And then we also do our own trucking. Like I said, we hire out a lot because we'll run upwards of 60 trucks a day. And unfortunately, we just can't staff that right now, but we're slowly building towards that. And then we have a little video here. We won a national award here. This was the top structural concrete project in the United States this year in 25. And like I told y'all, we've been making concrete for about 8 years with these trucks. But just so you know, this was the very first job that we ever sold concrete to somebody else other than ourselves. So to say that our first concrete outside sale, won the best concrete job in the United States in 2025, something we're very proud of. And the reason why they did it is because of the remoteness of this. This is in the swamp in Louisiana. And we pumped concrete through a pump truck, threw 1,000 foot of hose into another pump truck, and threw 600 foot of hose into a placement boom on a barge. So that's what you see here. Our 2 trucks, each truck is basically a concrete plant. So we're feeding it with all the materials it needs, cement, aggregates, water, admixtures. We're pumping it through that pump truck all the way up to the other pump truck sitting on top of the levee, through the other pump truck, going to the placement boom on a barge. And we're doing what's called a dolphin, which is so that the barges coming into the lock right there don't damage the lock system. So something that we're, like I said, very extremely proud of. We like to stay as much as we can on the cutting edge of technology. Our survey department uses survey drones. We have predominantly most of our equipment is 3D GPS enabled. We use lots of robotics, machine controls, pretty much anything and everything you can think of technology wise is what we try to do. We're always out there looking for the next best thing. And we're very young. So I'm the oldest executive here, and I'm 43 years old. So we're very young. We're all open to change. And I think that makes us very hungry and very dangerous for our competitors out there.
Yeah, a little bit more technology stuff. It's all the normal stuff. Like we tend to keep really nice and new updated equipment, but like this project that we showed you the video of, and also some other things, we challenge the norms of what is possible in this industry. And we almost do it out of a sense of pride. The same mobile mixers that did that video, we were the first people in the United States, and we can only find, we're the second in the world. A company in Australia beat us, and we're upset about it. But these trucks were originally designed to be stationary. So like this truck would have to put itself in park and produce concrete and spit it out, take itself out of park, stop producing concrete, drive forward, put itself back into park, produce concrete. We got with the manufacturer, which at the time is Peterbilt, of our dump trucks, and we had to get a special code written to allow us to produce concrete as we are physically driving the truck, so it can move and produce concrete at the same time. And the result of that is, like I said, we were the first people in the country and second in the world to use these trucks into a curb machine and pour curb continuously while the machine's moving. And the concrete
Yeah, I
truck
can
is
see
moving
where,
all together.
and that probably added quite a bit of productivity because you're not sitting there spitting out one curb move. You just got a nice constant flow to keep the job site moving too.
Yes, sir.
Exactly.
Yeah, on a good subdivision, we can do about 2,000 feet a day in a 10-hour day.
Wow. So to me, I mean, a lot of this stuff, that you're talking about when you actually kind of get down to working together, it's a lot of teamwork. I mean, so to veterans' experience in unit cohesion, it strikes me as a fit. Do you feel that's kind of like you build a team, you kind of go to work together and you get that close knit bond where you can kind of sculpt it the way you need it?
Yes, sir. Absolutely, 100%. That's how we are from top to bottom. Everything we look at is 100% teamwork. And I tell every person here, I will 100% listen to every idea and everything you have to say. Everybody has a voice. It doesn't mean that we will always, use what you say, right? We can still disagree, but I will listen and take advice from every person here. It doesn't matter who you are, because everybody has opinions and good opinions. And so we do that. We have had a lot of changes that have come from people in places where most companies would not have paid attention or even gave them an opportunity to speak.
Yeah, and the other thing too is like the work you do and the location that you're in, the work's never going to go away because every now and then you're going to have that Hurricane Katrina roll through and jack
Yes,
things up. And then like, hey, we just did this 15 years ago. Let's do it again.
that's right. Yeah.
That's
We're
some pretty
lucky.
good stuff.
By the way.
Huh?
Yeah, if we get 15 years, so we everything we build over here is what I call temporary. We build on top of chocolate pudding. We have no bedrock. We have no rock here, so everything's floating. So it's just a matter of time until it fails again.
That's hey, some job security from God above.
Yes, sir.
They can
Or
thank the
just a
French for locating it.
whoever decided to make this a city.
Yeah, thanks, France. Very helpful to put a city near the water like that. Kind of my last question, like, so looking ahead, what trends in construction kind of excite you where you're at, and how do you think that folks like this can position themselves to thrive in them?
I think a big push is going to be a lot of it's going to be a lot of autonomous stuff. I think so. It's while some people might say, well, that means right, there's no person. Well, there's still a lot of people that are either going to be controlling that instead of being out in the field controlling it. You might be sitting in this office, right, running two joysticks behind a computer screen controlling it, or you may be doing all the setup that's required to run that stuff. So I see a huge expansion in sort of survey departments, with a lot of people understanding knowledge of doing, how to set up, how to do those things. I think drones are going to play larger aspects in construction. I also see the sort of maintenance and care of all of this equipment. It's a lot more sophisticated, and it's going to take a more intellectual person that can understand all of this stuff and can work on these things. So what used to just be sort of a IT type role, something's wrong with my email. It's not that anymore. There's so much equipment that we currently already have that has so much computers in it. If anybody, has a car that was built, in the last 5 years, right, how much computer is in your car, right? And the equipment is no different than all of that. So we have those same things. So we have so many people here now that have had to train themselves to understand, the electronic components and the CPU components of all of our equipment, everything that we have. So that, in my opinion, is a big push towards where I see, well-paying jobs, and not necessarily back-breaking labor jobs. I think that the back-breaking labor jobs are going to continue to diminish as people find smarter, better ways to do things.
The two of the things you said there, like on the drone side, doing what you guys do, I could see like a full-time drone operator easily working different sites, checking line survey and all that kind of stuff. And then maybe an AI expert or somebody really good at that to do IT and then start going towards, hey, this is something that we can automate. I mean, is that kind of what you're thinking?
Yes, sir. So we have, so our certified manager is our only certified drone pilot right now. But we love it so much that I agree with you 100%. Like I could hire somebody today who has that, and I would fly it all day, every day, and that's all they would do because it provides so much valuable information for everything that we're working on. And then as far as AI goes, of course, all of us are using it, sort of our PMs and stuff, and we're using the chat GPTs and stuff to help us write emails and responses and things. But we've already, like our estimating department has already done several scenarios where there's construction AI out there that is going to, hopefully get to a point where we're going to be able to input all the information from the last 5 years of projects that we bid, and AI is going to be able to provide us information, and we will be able to give it a new bid that's coming out, and it'll be able to say, here's what you should bid, or here's probably what your competitor is going to bid based on the history of everything that I see of what that person has bid and what you bid and everything else. And yes, it basically, it's not, you're going to become important as to not who's using AI, because if you're not using it, you'll be left behind. But it's who's the most knowledgeable, can use it the best.
Yeah. Well, especially when you're looking at, hey, what is my competitor going to bid? You come in 1% below them, and maybe you were going to bid 5% below them, so you can kind of boost it up a little bit and make up the difference and do even better with the right information. That's right. I hadn't thought about that. That's a great idea.
More money that I can take to give to everybody in the field.
That's right. Yeah, because if you're making more money, you got more room.
That's right.
Run up against the clock. Do you guys have, Colin, Tate, you guys have anything else that you'd like to share before we let you get back to work?
I think we covered everything.
Yeah. Yeah. I definitely got an education, and the paving thing that you mentioned. It's funny because I just saw a video day before yesterday or something where China laid down like this ridiculous amount of pavement overnight on this 4 or 5 lane highway. Mm-hmm. And now all I can think of is like, how much longer before that thing falls apart if they're doing that in a night? Like some of their bridges that kind of fall over. So I can definitely see the safety and science aspect a little bit better now. I don't know because you see that bridge in China.
We like to use, we had a gentleman that worked for us years and years and years ago, and he was a Marine, and this was something that he used all the time. And so we like to use it a lot still. And it's sort of a little mantra around here. It's slow is smooth and smooth is fast.
Yeah.
Right. And so that's what we stress to everybody. It's just a really good, kind of saying that we stress to people, right? And when you think about it, it just really makes sense in a lot of things that you do in life. Because a lot of times guys, they get, sort of running over their feet, right? To whether you want to trip. And we just try to tell them, hey man, slow is smooth and smooth is fast. And if you follow that, then you will achieve everything that you want to achieve that day, that week, that month. You just have to find your rhythm.
That's the fact. So, hey, Colin Daigle, Tate Acosta with RJ Daigle and Sons Construction. Thank you very much for coming out and dropping a little